This is going to be a really special video. Hi, my name is Scott. Welcome back to Adrenaline Fueled Firearms. In carrying on with a series that I've been working on for a little while with the relaunch of the channel, I'm going to do a review discussion on selection of pistols. So this one's going to be fun because there is a little bit of debate, legislation, bullshit going on right now with ARs and pistol braces and some other nonsense. We're not even going to get into those type of pistols. I am just going to discuss, hell, I'm not even going to call them more traditional pistols. We're just going to discuss some of your options when you're looking at purchasing a pistol. And remember that those considerations may include AR pistols, pistol braces, and legality moving into the future. Handguns tend to be kind of a hot button even amongst firearms because of their concealability and a variety of other factors, many other factors. Where it comes to legality and regional discussions or regional controversy about things like magazine size, overall size, and just you name it. So the biggest thing you're going to want to do before you even start considering any of the other options on handguns is determine what the legalities are in your specific area on what you can or can't own when it comes to a handgun. This is probably going to be most easily accomplished by going to a local firearms store and conversing with one of their employees. They should be able to tell you kind of the basics of what you can and can't do, because hopefully they're not going to try and sell you anything illegal. Hopefully. Just be real suspicious if the price is super, super high and they kind of do the sideways slant eye looking like, hey man, I got something for you. Right. So, I talked about caliber with a lot of other firearms. Caliber is going to lend somewhat into what style of handgun you ultimately decide you want. There are several basic styles of handgun. Some of these styles of handgun will limit the types of calibers that you can utilize. When I say styles, what I mean is single shot, revolver, semi-automatic. Those are just your main categories. When we talk about revolvers, you do have some limitations on caliber because of the way the cylinder is designed in the firearm. Now, this is a revolver. It has a cylinder that holds a finite number of rounds, can be reloaded, but it reloads more slowly than a semi-automatic. Your limitations to caliber come into the fact that the ejection of the shells is accomplished by operating a rod or by breaking open and flipping them out, or there are several different styles of ejection when it comes to a wheel gun. Majority of these styles require a flange on the cartridge, which is the limiting factor with what cartridges are going to be available for a revolver. You have a variety of number of shell count in the cylinder. You have a variety of barrel lengths and different manufacturers. So there are a lot of things to consider when looking at a revolver. One of your other primary styles is the single shot. I don't own any single shots, but these are typically, they break open. Derringers are technically from this category. They break open, the cartridges eject, new cartridges are inserted, they shut again, manually retract the hammer and pull the trigger to fire it. I don't have any examples of this. Again, these will limit your cartridge availability because there needs to be a flange on the cartridge so that when the firing pin hits it, it doesn't just throw the friggin' whole cartridge down the barrel like you see in some of those ads where a whole bullet casing and all is flying through the air or some nonsense. Then you have your semi-automatics. Your semi-automatics are a firearm which has some sort of a magazine ammunition feed that inserts into some portion of the handgun somewhere, which then, as the slide operates, that will cause a round to be placed in position to be picked up by the slide and inserted into the chamber for firing. Now, inside the realm of your semi-automatics, there are a number of different discharge mechanisms. You have, as this one has, the older style external hammer, where there's an actual hammer outside of the firearm that you can see and interact with. This can cause complications. You have the newer striker fire, where there is no hammer, internal or external. It's a completely different mechanism inside that is what actuates the firing pin to contact the primer of the cartridge to discharge the cartridge. And then, since they're semi-automatic, slide will cycle new rounds. There are also internal hammer fired. I believe a prime example of this would be the new Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7. It has an internal hammer. I don't have anything that has an internal hammer on it, so I can't show you what that means, but the hammer is internalized, so it's a little like a hybrid between the older external hammer and the strikers. So there's an internal hammer that's concealed that should be harder to interfere with, should be lower maintenance. Merry Christmas. Hopefully the theory behind that all works out. So you have that consideration of what style of firearm you're looking into when considering what you're doing. So cartridge may not be the first selection. You may decide you want a revolver and then go from there, or you go the opposite direction. I want a small frame concealable semi-automatic handgun. Now you work through caliber from there. So it's kind of a tie between considerations with caliber and style of firearm when you're looking at selection. So legality, figure out kind of what you want, do your research on that, figure out what cartridge you're going to use and what style of handgun. Now there are several other factors that are basically going to be inherent to the firearm and will limit future considerations with relation to the firearm that you purchase. I mean, if you just have stupid money, I'm sure that there's a way to convert a revolver into a semi-automatic. I mean, you know, money, let's face it. 3D printers, you know, what can't you accomplish these days? So some other considerations that are difficult to modify with a reasonable amount of money involved are color. You have a variety of colors. We've discussed color in some of the rifle stuff. I mean, if you want pink, brown, green, blue, I'm pretty sure there's damn near every color out there you could want. But the most common is going to be black or some type of black, stainless steel, unfinished. FDE, faded dark earth, is coming up in popularity, or tan. Just depends on whose copyright you're paying. Gunmetal gray. So, hey, color is a consideration. I mean, if it's an Ucky gun, you're not going to want to take it out and shoot a lot because you don't want your friends to catch you with it. You know, there's some sayings about certain types of people you may date, and you don't want your friends to catch you on one. Whatever works, man. But don't go out and purchase something before you make these considerations. I mean, if color is that big a deal to you, it's an important consideration. It's your money. It's going to be your handgun. Find something in a reasonable price range that you're going to enjoy and you're actually going to operate. Or if the whole purpose is not to operate the thing, don't burn a ton of money on it. I mean, if your ultimate theory is, I just want a handgun to throw in the glove box of my vehicle in case something goes sideways, that's great. Don't spend a ton of money on one. Just spend a bit of money on it, make sure it actually functions, get vaguely familiar with it, learn how to be safe with it, and then throw it in the friggin' glove box of your vehicle. Don't really recommend that personally. It's a pretty unsafe way to transport a firearm, especially when there are a ton of small, safe options. It may also be, again, illegal in your state to have a firearm in the glove box of your vehicle. Don't F up. Before you make that plan, do your research. So, we're going to look at the other factor is probably going to be whether or not you're going to want to have a red dot optic. So in order to mount a red dot optic, the firearm in question will have to have some form of modification from the factory or from a qualified gunsmith, if it's possible based on what you purchased, to install a red dot optic. Some handguns are old school enough. They're actually designed to mount a... Man, I just pointed that at myself. What a fucking amateur. Some firearms are designed to mount an actual scope style optic. This is not as common anymore, but they do exist. This may become an issue depending on how the legislation with pistol brace stuff goes. Considerations. You have a number of manufacturers. You have tons of magazine options when it comes to semi-autos, from your 10 round limit to stupid crazy over the top, oh my god, when am I going to run out of ammo? And even some firearms stock, like this Kel-Tec CP33, come with 33 rounds, bone freaking stock. So what's the legislation on that where you're at? Hey, thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm going to do some more videos. We'll talk a little more in depth about handguns, but this was just kind of a basic considerations. Please stick around, like and subscribe, hit the notification button. Also check out my Rumble channel. Take care, folks. We'll see you next video.